Hi guys, it's Sydney back with another video. Lately, I have been rewatching like every piece of Bridgerton content that I can get my hands on, and that has made me want to talk about ships and what makes a good ship, some of my favorite ships, and so we're gonna talk about that today in this video. So if you love romance and ships and content and all of that good stuff that makes you feel good in your belly, this video is for you. I want to start off by saying that this is not an endorsement of the behavior of all of these characters. These are fictional characters. They are not perfect. In my opinion, some of the writers' rooms forgot what they wrote. So this is my like opinion and my feelings on like how I feel about these shows and these characters. You don't have to feel the same way as me. You can call out how much you hate X character in the comments. That's fine. But let's also be respectful. Okay, now let's get started. Okay, so the first pairing on this list is Olitz, which is Olivia and Fitzgerald Grant from Scandal. This is Shondaland's best. If you know anything about a Shonda Rhimes show, you know there's going to be ships for the ages, but what this show gives you is like the definition of chemistry. I think that it's best kind of emphasized in a couple of scenes, but the one I want to pinpoint is the scene in the pilot episode where you find out that they have been having an affair. Like, you just think they're friends. She used to work in the White House. No, babes. You're about to get gagged. Like, it's insane. And so the first note about a good ship that I want to call out is the importance of chemistry. If you don't have chemistry, if you're not doing chemistry tests, the likelihood that your ship is going to eat, it's very low. Near impossible, actually. So that is our first entry. If you haven't watched Scandal, you should. It's a good show. It made me want to work in public relations, which I now do. So there we go. Okay, so entry number 2 on my top 5 favorite ships list might be considered a little bit of a deep cut, but it is Spencer and Olivia from All American. And the lesson that you can learn from this ship is that these two can talk to each other. Like, their moments where they're talking to each other, they just make you feel warm and fuzzy. Like, this is a healthy relationship. In every relationship on this list, I'd argue the first one I talked about, not healthy at all. But this one, these are people who have therapists. And it is just a breath of fresh air. Every ship doesn't have to have every quality that's on this list, but this is like a really good, like, refresher couple, like a good couple to watch and like sit back on the couch and just feel good about what you're seeing most of the time. That writer's room, now that the strike is over, handle that. But yeah, I love Spencer and Olivia. If you have never watched All American, I honestly think that their love story is worth the price of admission. I am still watching simply because I need them to get married, and so I will keep watching until we have a wedding. Entry number 3 on this list is Seth and Summer from the OC. I know this is like the second time in a row I've mentioned the OC. Like, my last video was all about the OC, but it doesn't matter. You should watch it. It's so good. Seth and Summer are another breath of fresh air couple. Their banter is so good. Like, their banter is a predecessor to another entry on this list, banter, but like their banter is so good. Like the fact that they're really digging into like what role or what do you bring into a relationship, especially in the season 3 conflict about college, and kind of like your role and your position in a relationship, is just so fun to see. Seth is such a fun character. Summer's such a fun character. I think that they are a great example of that your ships need to have characters that can stand alone. Are your characters able to be individual storylines or individual people outside of the relationship that you put them in? And I think that's where a lot of shows go wrong with characters that have great ships, is that they forget that these are still characters that have to have their own journeys and stories. And that is why Seth and Summer are in my top 5 favorite TV ships. Number 4 on my favorite TV ships, or maybe this is number 2. I might have done this backwards, but it's too late now. But number 4 on my favorite TV ships list is Chuck and Blair. Chuck and Blair are the children of Seth and Summer. Definitely a different vibe. There's a different energy happening over there on Gossip Girl. But this couple gives you tension. It gives you, like, as opposed to like Olivia and Spencer and the other couple that I talked about, their conversation being like soothing. You just like to sit there and get the good feelings. This banter.
Doing there?
Well, what's anyone doing there? It's a facility for the disturbed or addicted.
You must have your own wing.
You don't get nearly enough credit for your wit.
This banter is so freaking good. Like they play off each other so well. It's so fun to watch. They have such like gripping moments, but the tension that really comes, I think it's season 3 after Hotel Gate, is just so good. Like, it's such good writing. It's such a good piece of like television. I just love them. Chuck and Blair, chef's kiss. I love you guys. Shout out to Late Meester, Queenie Pooh. But I just have to put them on this list. Like, you can say what you want. Chuck Bass, I personally think the writer's room just retconned season 1 Chuck Bass. Everything that I know about Chuck Bass really starts at season 2. Especially after the pilot. Like, the pilot didn't happen to me. It's not the same character. So, okay, so I had 3 couples that I had to give honorable mentions because I love them so much, but I think that they aren't necessarily my top 5, or they don't really like tell you what you need out of a ship to really make good TV that hasn't already been covered here by someone that I might like a little bit better. So here are my honorable mentions. First, Kate and Anthony. I'm a sucker for enemies to lovers. I didn't think that that was a fair enough like reason because there are other tropes that work just as well. But season 2 of Bridgerton, that's my favorite. You can have your Queen Charlotte, you can have your Simon and Daphne. I love Kate and Anthony. The second one is Brittany and Santana from Glee. I am in a current rewatch of Glee right now because my husband swears he saw like the early seasons. During our rewatch, we're learning he never watched it. But he has to understand why I love Glee, and so we're watching it. But anyway, the second one is Brittany and Santana. They are just such a good couple. Like, they make me feel good. The coming out story, while awful for Santana, their like love story that gets to flourish after it is just so enjoyable to watch. I can't believe that one of the best ships and like one of the best like sapphic couples in TV came out of a throwaway joke. Like, if you didn't know, there's a throwaway joke about them like kissing, and then people were like, okay, so then make them a couple, and that's how we got Britt and Santana. We love Brittana. Stan. And then the last one is Angel and Poppy from Pose. If you have never watched Pose, I highly recommend it. I can't recommend many shows more than I recommend Pose. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll yell at the TV. But Angel and Poppy are such a source of joy during the viewing process that I had to give them at least a mention here. So those are my 3 honorable mentions before we talk about my favorite television ship of all time. Here we go. Okay, so my all-time favorite ship in the history of television is Dwayne and Whitley from A Different World. And I say this as a Dwayne hater. I hate Dwayne Wayne. I hate him. But that couple... So the biggest thing I want to say is the ship needs like a big moment. You need something to remember and like take home with you. I have something about each couple on this list that I can take home, but nothing is topping that wedding when Dwayne Wayne comes down the aisle and says, "Will you?" And then it's like, "Baby, please."
There are those who ask you questions, Bubba.
Whitley, I love you, and if you'll have me, I want you to be my wife.
What the hell are you doing?
Hey, I'm sorry, Byron, I love her.
Die! Just die!
Will you have me, Dwayne, as your lawfully wedded husband from this day forth to having a home in richer, poorer? Baby, please, please.
I do!
Like, he interrupted this man's wedding. Like, It's so good. They also have just like the cutest moments. I think that Whitley Gilbert is one of the most adorable characters in the history of TV. I think that it exemplifies character growth. I think that your relationship should kind of like say something about who your characters are. And I think that this is one of the greatest representations of that. Like Whitley is this stuck up, self-centered, classist girl at the start of the show. And then she like kind of throws away what her life was supposed to be when she got to Hillman. Like marrying a senator is exactly the type of girl that she was like raised to be. But the person she became while she was at Hillman and made those friends in college really shaped a different person. And that person is the woman who loves Dwayne. And while I have criticisms of her husband, it's just so beautiful. So that is my final favorite TV ship of all time. If you have any of your own favorite TV ships, let me know in the comments. And if I haven't seen them, I will check out that show. But that's all for now. Bye.